It's almost more news during the offseason than during in-season play at Ohio State. The Buckeyes, of course, coming off a Rose Bowl win in Pasadena over Washington. We got Steve Hellwagon on the line, Big Ten senior writer at Bucknuts. Steve, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Mark. What's going on?
Not too much. Good to see you. Let's first, the Rose Bowl is something that you've covered a number of times, but it's still a special event, a special game, a special picturesque scene. Just your thoughts and memories that you'll take from the Buckeyes' narrow win that was dominant for more than three quarters, but turned out to be a 28-23 victory.
Yeah, they got control of that game early on, and it looked like it was going to be a real blowout. And then about the middle of the third quarter, they were ahead 28-3, and they almost stopped playing on both sides of the ball. And Washington scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to make it a little bit more interesting than it probably should have been. 28-23, the final score. Ohio State recovered an onside kick in the final minute, and they sent Urban Meyer off into the sunset in a happy way. And, he was even sweating it, he said, down to the final minute. But a win in a fitting way to send him out, I guess, in his last game, at least what we believe will be his last game as a college coach. And, I think you have to give Washington a little bit of credit. I think their defense made things a little difficult for Ohio State at times. Dwayne Haskins only threw, and we say only, threw for about 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. So it was not the 300, 400-yard games from him or the 40-point type output that we'd expected or seen out of Ohio State, and yet Washington made them earn the win with the way Washington came back at the end and tried to steal it, and great credit to them. And Ohio State really sends off so many great players off of that team, the seniors, plus the guys who have now declared for the NFL draft. Dwayne Haskins, Draymond Jones had done so previously. They don't win that game without Mike Weber, 96 yards of hard, tough running, and he leaves a pretty good legacy, even though he came up just short of 1,000 yards on the season. He did outstanding. I think Ohio State played another outstanding game, 13-1, just the third team in school history to get to 13 wins. And, number 3 in the final polls, probably about what they deserve.
MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, breaking down the Buckeyes with Steve Hellwagon, senior Big Ten writer at Bucknuts, the 247 platform for Ohio State football. So you mentioned the number 3 ranking, ironically passing up Oklahoma and Notre Dame and their failed efforts in the college football playoffs. So the voters thought enough of the Buckeyes' 28-23 win over Washington, and then obviously Notre Dame's shortcomings. Oklahoma, not so much. They played a fairly decent game, at least in the second half against Alabama, but Ohio State with enough to show in the bowl game to raise them to number 3 in the country. So based on the feedback and the interactions you have with Ohio State fans, Steve, yes, the college football playoff, the national championship, that is the goal. And that's the feedback that I get from Buckeyes fans, is that they discounted the Rose Bowl. But I don't know that 13-1, Big Ten champs, Rose Bowl champions, number 3 ranked in the country, that's about as close as you can get to getting your ultimate goal.
Yeah, in the long and short of it, in the playoff, only one team ends the season with a win. Ohio State's one of the fortunate teams that went into one of the New Year's Six games and came out with the win. Texas, LSU also did the same. The fourth game is slipping my memory right now. If it was
Did you mention Michigan, Florida?
Yeah, Florida was the other one. So how about that? Florida, Texas, and LSU also join Ohio State as New Year's Six bowl winners. Obviously, Clemson and Alabama won their games in the semifinal to get to the championship game. And Clemson, the dominant, true national champion this year, no question about it. But Ohio State doesn't have to take a back seat really to very many. I think Clemson and Alabama have put themselves on a pedestal right now. Those are the two teams that have shared the national championship the last 4 years since Ohio State won it. Ohio State's now cycled out all the guys who were in the program when they won the national championship in 2014. And so really going forward, it's on Ryan Day to recruit at a high level, develop the players, everything that goes along with it, and put a winner on the field so that you can qualify to make the playoff in the years ahead. And a lot of the guys, the Dennis Dodds, Mark Schleybaugh, all those guys are coming out with their top 25, their top 10 for next year. Ohio State, I've seen them anywhere from 3rd to 6th next year. And there are some question marks. Certainly, first starting with a rookie head coach. I mean, a guy, granted, who has 3 wins to his credit early in the season when Urban Meyer was serving a suspension. But you also have a rookie quarterback, a defense that probably will have either 8, 9, or 10 returning starters, but must play at a much higher level in 2019. And offense that, as it turns out, still will have some playmakers. KJ Hill coming back, deciding not to turn pro. Dobbins will be back for his 3rd year at running back. Austin Mack will return. Chris Olave, who was great at the end of the year as a true freshman, will be back. The only question, who's going to be the quarterback? Is it going to be Justin Fields? Going to be Tate Martell? I guess we'll find out starting this spring.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down the Buckeyes. We've got Steve Hellwagon on the line from 247 Sports. And, of course, don't forget to like the video, comment with any questions or comments that you have, and, of course, subscribe to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Steve, little could be more expected from Urban Meyer's run at Ohio State. It's truly remarkable. But we've had a number of conversations highlighting, unfortunately, those near misses that could have just made it a ridiculous, over-the-top, dominant run, the most dominant run in college football. Probably 2 to 3 wins separated Ohio State from everyone else in the country. They could have made that kind of claim. As it was a great run, winning 91% of his games.